Okay, understanding mortgages. Have your calculators ready to go? Because in a bit we're gonna do some calculations, all right? And no talking now, okay? Because I can't focus on two things at the same time. Understanding mortgages. Anybody know what the current mortgage rates are, more or less, percentage-wise? What's that? 5. Yes, it's 5 more or less. 5 more or less, right? Currently, about 5%. Just remember that. Hopefully, by the time you're ready to buy, they're going to be lower. We don't know that. The reason that the Bank of Canada controls the rates, it's the Central Bank of Canada. The reason they did that was to cool down the market. If the interest rate is too low, people are able to buy more, pay more. So they're like, hey, let's raise the interest rates. You remember that it was $500 more a month for this interest rate compared to the one I have right now? I'm locked in, right? So it's like a lot more if the interest rate goes up. So before we continue, and I know some of this you're gonna forget, but I know when it's time for you to buy, you're gonna remember some of these things. Okay? So some of the terms, mortgage, it's basically just a loan towards real estate. Okay? And it's usually, what's the main difference? Amortization is longer. Okay? So when you go for a mortgage, you're able to pay it off over 20 plus years, 15 years, something that's more than just a car loan, which is usually about 5 years. Okay? Amortization period, what is that? It's the length of time required to pay off the mortgage. Most of the time, it's 25 years when you start off. Equity. You remember what equity is? Vaguely, it's something you built in the house, right? And it's growing because of two things. The value of your home is going up, and you're paying off some of it. So you own more and more, right? You actually have an investment. The portion of the value of your property that you own. Okay, that's what equity is. Interest. It's the finance charge. It's how much extra you pay to borrow the money. It's also sometimes I just say, hey, what's the total interest? So you got to remember that. Principal. It's the amount borrowed. At the very beginning, you borrow a certain amount, and that's like what the principal amount. It's called the mortgage amount as well. The unpaid balance. The portion of the value of the property you owe to the financial institution, right? So you owe that to them. Then you have your down payment. I think everybody understands that. However, with a car, you're able to have a 0 down payment. With a house, you have to have a minimum of 5%. Okay? The minimum amount is 5% in Canada. Okay? So let's help you understand. Some of the concepts, very simple. You buy a house for $200,000, you make a down payment of $25,000. How much is your mortgage? You can always think of it as a loan. Okay, whenever you see mortgage, you can also think of it as a loan. Okay, so your mortgage would be $200,000 minus $25,000 because the down payment brings the loan amount down. So $175,000 is what you would need. That would be our mortgage in this particular case. At the very beginning, that is. What is your equity in the property at the very beginning? It is the $25,000. At the very beginning, the 25 you put down is actually the only equity you have in the home. Okay? What is the unpaid balance? It's 175,000. It's the mortgage and the unpaid balance at the very beginning, they're the same. And it's slowly going to go down. This one, calculate the down payment as a percent. I'm going to give you the formula. If you want the down as a percent, all you have to do is you take your down. I'm going to give you the formula because a lot of times students don't know what to do with it. You take the down as a dollar amount divided by the total, also a dollar amount, and then you multiply that by 100. Sorry, I know it's made a bit of a mistake there. But the down, you take it, you divide it by the total, like what the house is worth, you multiply it by 100, voila, you've got your down payment as a percentage. So what is our down payment here? It's 25 grand divided by what's the total house value? It's 200,000 times 100. So it's almost like, what did you get on the test, right? Well, what's the total out of, oh, I got this much. Well, that divided by that times 100, you get your percentage. And I'm going to do this with you. It's that times 100, so it's 12.5% down. This is your down payment. So the 25K represent 12.5% of the house value. It's a very good down payment, by the way, percentage-wise. Can I just tell you something here? This is just me. You might have other advice given to you and you go with it, that's fine. But I would say don't put all 12.5% down towards the house right at the beginning. Just put down the 5%, the minimum. And you're like, why? Well, is there a chance that you might have some unexpected expenses at the beginning? Yeah. Can you wait with them? Most likely not, right? If something needs to be repaired and it's like your roof or something, you need the money. If you put it down and you sign the contract, you can't take it back, right? But you can always add the payment later on. So let's say you're sitting on that money, the rest that you didn't use for your down payment, and you're like, you know what? I feel pretty comfortable with what I have. I'm just gonna pay everything down, right? That's up to you. But I would say don't rush into paying it all down. That advice was given to me and it saved me a lot of hassle because I actually did have to re-roof my house not too long after I purchased it. Okay, pay attention to this part. There are two main types of mortgages: fixed rate mortgage and something we call variable rate mortgage. One would be called closed, the other one would be called open as well. So I will highlight that part. Closed, open. So what's a fixed rate mortgage? A mortgage with the interest rate unchanged for a specified period of time. So when you choose a 5-year term, you're guaranteed to keep the interest rate you chose for that time frame. A variable mortgage rate, what is that? The interest rate may vary, okay, from month to month. It's also known as the open mortgage. I am so glad that I locked in when I had my 1.97% because right now I'll be paying 5. Okay, but I'm locked in. I think I have another 3 years left. So I don't have to worry about the interest rate changing for now. However, do you think you should lock in right now for 5 years? It's 5%, correct? So if you lock it in, if you go with a fixed rate for 5%, you sign the papers, what if it goes down the next couple of months or years? You're still going to have to pay 5%. So sometimes it's good to lock in. Other times it's not good to lock in. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you what you should do because I don't know what the market is going to do. I can tell you this. Has it been higher than 5%? Yes. In my lifetime, it's been 7, 8% at one point. So 5, if you ask people like 20, 30 years ago, 5%, they're like, that's an awesome rate. Like lock it in, right? So it depends. It's all like it varies. It is something you need to decide. So watch this. This is a little dated, the rates, but you can Google different banks or credit unions, and they have different rates if you lock in for 1 year. They have different rates when you lock in for 3 years, and then again for 5 years. Okay. So watch this. 1 year is 5.59%. 3 years is a little lower, and the 5 years is basically the same as the 3 year. So a lot of people will be like, well, that's a no-brainer. I'm just going to go with a 5-year interest rate. If you're planning on selling within the year, don't lock in for 5 years because then you have to stick with it for 5 years or else there are penalties. Okay, let's keep going. How a fixed mortgage works. Here it is. I have a highlighter. How a fixed term mortgage works. Let's assume you choose a 5-year term rate. This would implicate that you're not interested in selling your home within this time frame. If you decide to sell, you would have a penalty, right? If you decide to sell within the 5, you pay a penalty. And trust me, it's high sometimes. The main reason for this is that the money the bank borrowed you is from people's investments, and they promised a certain rate after a specified period of time. So they don't want you to just be like, oh, actually, I'm going to sell my house, and here's your money back. They have interest that they want to collect to be able to give to their investors. Okay, so let's say right here you buy the house. Okay, you buy the house right there, and then let's say for these 5 years, from you have 25 years left at the very beginning, 5 years go by. Let's say you lock in at 5.49%. That's quite the throw. And then let's say 5 years go by, and in 5 years from now, the interest rate is 3.78. So you lock in for 3.78%. So that the remainder is this interest rate. After another 5 years go by, 15 years are left. Let's say you lock out and you get a 2.9% interest rate. So for 5 years, you have that rate. And then let's say from here to here, something goes wrong with the market and it goes back up. And then at the end, you have like 6.15%. It goes way up. So this is an example of what could be the case for you. Throughout the 25 years of you having that mortgage, the interest rates could vary from 5-year block to 5-year block. Mr. Dirksen, do I have to do the 5-year thing? Can I just do like open, like just keep it open and just whatever the interest rate is of the time, that's what I pay? Absolutely, you can do that. But this is a fixed, this is someone that likes their security. And so you lock in for 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. So the payment will go up and down every 5 years, but within the 5-year time frame, it stays the same. However, follow me here, okay? Let's say 5 years go by. And after the 5 years, you're like, my payments are just too high. I cannot handle it. What you can do here is take the 5 years, bring them down here. Okay? And do another 25 years. So you refinance. For another 25 years. Just do like jot down notes as I'm doing this. So that means that technically, overall, for this whole entire mortgage, you would say, well, technically at the beginning, I had done 30 years altogether, and it just kept on going like this. Why would you do this? It lowers your payment. Write that down. Lowers your payment. But what's the downside? Longer amortization means is equal to more interest paid. The longer you take to pay off, the more interest you're going to pay. That's just the reality. Longer amortization means more interest paid. You know what? Some people have a perpetual mortgage. I know a few people. They just like their new cars. They like they want to have the latest and greatest. So every time they go back to sign the mortgage, they go another 25 years. 5 years go by, 25 years again, 25 years again. So they just keep on paying because they're like, well, if I were to live and rent, I'd pay rent my whole life as well. So I might as well just own the house, keep making a payment, afford fancy cars, and I'm okay with that, right? So everybody's has a different level of, I guess, risk that they'd like to take. I want to be paid off as soon as possible. That's my philosophy. And then once the payment is gone, I can take those payments and then buy myself something fancy, right? Or invest it. Who knows? Keep going. We're about to do math, so if you're waiting for it, it's coming. It's just around the corner. A house or real estate, so it could be a condo as well, is considered an appreciating asset. It generally increases in value over time. Could it be that it goes down from time to time? Yes, but overall, the general trend is up, right? So this is what it looks like. The chart. It could look like this, then goes down, and then goes way back up, and then it goes down a bit. But the general trend will probably be increasing. Okay, so even though within a few years you might have a decrease, overall it's going up. Okay. Low supply and high demand will always drive up the cost of something. If you're in business, anybody in business in here? You've probably talked about this. Low supply, high demand will increase the cost of something, right? Like when during COVID, right, there was a demand for everything, but there was low supply. So what happened to the prices? They say, oh, you're willing to pay that? You really want it? Well, are you willing to pay 15 times as much as it used to be? And some people did because they just wanted their toilet paper, right? You remember those days? I don't know if you had to stress over toilet paper. Maybe you're not the one doing the groceries, but I had to stress over finding my toilet paper. Couple more things here. Owning a house or condominium has its advantages, but there are many, right? Owning comes with many additional costs that you probably don't think of at first. So there's initial startup costs, your down payment. You're responsible for all the repairs, maintenance, bills. So you should always keep that in mind when owning. Owning isn't for everyone. Okay. Renting, right? Renting may be a much more feasible option. Right? Startup costs are lower. Utility bills are usually included. It is much easier to relocate if you need it. Okay? Major repairs and maintenance are the landlord's responsibility. So I'm going to repeat these things throughout this unit because the exam usually has a few sections where you are asked to explain why it's better to rent or explain why it's better to own. Okay? All right. I know it's a lot to take in, especially if you've never considered buying, if you've never even been on the market. I wish you could come back after 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and then we take it again. You wouldn't want to do that, I know, but maybe I'll send you this video like in the future. Here. YouTube might not even be a thing anymore. We're good? Okay, so I'm going to see this. Are you ready for this? Because it can save you a lot of space and time. These formulas are identical to the ones used in vehicle finance. Okay, so that's why I said it's okay to use up a bit more space for vehicle finance. You ready for this part? All you would have to do, honestly, you go to your study sheet, and whenever this, what would this have been called in your study sheet? Loan. You can put mortgage next to it, right? So you go to your study sheet, you're like, you go loan slash mortgage. And instead of, right, yours says loan here for the interest paid for the first month, you just say, right, mortgage instead of loan, or you go loan slash mortgage, it's the same. Total paid to the bank, everything there is the same. Except for total interest paid, there's that word mortgage again, okay? So what I will do here is I will go slash loan. And here under this, I will go or loan, okay? And wherever it says mortgage, you can say, tell yourself it could be either or. So that saves you a ton of space, a ton of time, no big deal. But as I was looking at this, I'm always trying to look back. What are some of the biggest mistakes I see when students are using this formula? And the biggest, one of the ones that I don't know why, but this here, I would suggest you put that in brackets like this, and it says table, correct? So where should that number come from? A table. Yeah, it should be coming from a table. So if you look at your table like this, right, you have to choose one number, and that number is the one that goes in there. And it's always per $1,000, right? It's a number you get, and it's divided by 1,000, okay? So that's something that I need you to remember. What's the other common mistake? Oh yeah, it's right here. Students take this rate right here and they plug it into the interest rate, and that's not true, okay? This has to be like example, right? It'll be 2.775% per year. Like the question will always give you a yearly interest rate. That is what goes in there, okay? Not a table rate. So maybe some of you need to be a bit more specific there to avoid those mistakes. They're easily solvable. Okay. So if you don't have these formulas, you better get on it and just tell yourself this is vehicle finance and mortgages at the same time. Let's keep going. The air conditioner is turning on. That's pretty amazing. How to decrease the total interest paid. So these are the ways to do it. And there's way more on here than I can possibly cover. So I'm just gonna kind of give you just a glimpse. One of the things you can do is adding or increasing your payment. Okay. So this is your original, the OG. I always try to be cool with my kids, but they don't find that cool. I told them I was gonna sneak it into this lesson. Anyways, this is the original. This is your mortgage interest rate term. What's the term? Because some students are like, what's up with the 5 years and the 25 years? Like, what's up with that? This is how long it will take you overall, but you're locked in for 5 years at a time. Calculation wise, this doesn't affect us, the 5 years. It's always this one we're after. Watch this. Interest cost for the term is 89,000, 90 grand almost. Total interest over the 25 years, you'd be spending almost 290 grand. Can you wrap your head around this? You buy a house for this much, and you're going to end up paying this on top of that. 345, another 290 in 25 years. Can you wrap your head around that? It's somewhat depressing. But remember, your house is also going to go up in value over 25 years. Remember that. Yep. Your house is probably going to be worth an extra 290 or more, most likely. This is your monthly payment. I just want to highlight this. Your monthly payment is $21.18 in this case scenario. However, if you make an additional payment, right? Additional payment of $34.58. That's approximately, write it down here, approximately $300 a month extra that you're making an additional payment. Okay. How much did your total interest go down by? Anybody? Savings, I will just give you this number, 75,068 and 87 cents. What's all this mumbo jumbo, right? What are you talking about? So let's say your payment is 21.18, but you tell your bank, please set up another payment at the same time, same day, of $300 a month extra. You are going to save yourself 75 grand in the span of 25 years. Think about that. That by the end of the 25 years, you have 75 grand sitting in your accounts like that's yours. You didn't have to pay that to the bank. You kept that money. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's a lot of money no matter how long down the road that is, right? That's a lot of money. Okay, so here's your comparison. This is the original, right? This is the original mortgage. I snuck it in there again. And then this is the if you look at the gray bars, okay, you also shaved off. Watch this. It took you 25 years at the beginning. How long will it take you if you pay the extra 300 a month? Only 19 years and 4 months. So approximately 5 years sooner, you're going to pay this off. So not only are you saving interest, you're also not having a payment sooner. 5 years sooner without payment. So double whammy, right? So make the extra payment. Doesn't hurt. I can only do $100 a month. Do it, right? Just plug it in there. Okay, keep going. Page 26. We're just going to highlight this here. Increasing the payment frequency. So you go from monthly to bi-weekly, right? You switch it over. That's going to save you money as well. We don't do biweekly in this course. We only do monthly because we don't want to deal with reality. But technically, you can do biweekly, right? You can even do weekly payments. But watch this. If you go monthly, there's obviously zero savings comparison. If you go accelerated biweekly, you will save 52,000 by going every 2 weeks. Okay? Why is that? Well, if it's monthly, there are 12 payments, correct? If it's bi-weekly, how many payments are you making a year? How many weeks in a year? 52, right? What's half of 52? 26. 26 payments? Think about it this way. This is equivalent to 13 months, isn't it? Right? Divide this in half. It's equivalent to 13 months. This is equivalent to 12 months because it's just monthly payment. So you're making, it's almost like making an additional month worth of payment every year if you go bi-weekly. And you won't feel it as much on your pocket if you do that, right? If you just go every 2 weeks. Most of us get paid every 2 weeks. Okay, most people are going to get paid every 2 weeks bi-weekly. So just doing that switch is going to help you out. Okay. Here it is again. You want to do the before and after? I think you can tell. Like you can tell that it's before and after. I'm just going to say like this is the original. And then you've got your accelerated bi-weekly. You don't save as much, like in terms of years. What is it, about 3 years? Look up here. Okay. So, okay, I talked a lot, okay? But it comes down to this. 2 ways for sure to save on interest. What's the first way? Adding or increasing a payment, right? You either say, bank, I want to pay more, or you add another payment every year, every 2 years. The other way is increasing the frequency. So you go from monthly to bi-weekly. Technically, going weekly yet would save you even more. Not really, because it's about the same, but I guess a little bit. You would save a little bit on interest. Paying it weekly, that would be even better. Okay. So let's go to third and fourth point. Okay. Highlight those as well. You can increase your down payment, or you decrease the amortization period. So 4 ways that you can save on interest. I have another. If you increase the down payment, it will also reduce your monthly payment. Sure, go ahead. What's the downside of if you decrease the amortization period? So you go from 25 years to 20 years, let's say. What's going to happen to your payment if you go pay it off faster? Payment will increase. So some people cannot handle that. And sometimes people think, oh, you pay more. If you go shorter, look, my payment went up, so you pay more. Not overall. You actually save money. But it feels like you're paying more, right? But you're paying it off faster, therefore saving interest. Okay, we're going to take a short break. And then I'll do the math because you need a break from me. I can sense it. Okay, so I'll leave that. 2 minutes, not a very long break. Check your phone. And then we could talk about, hey, well, how about you do this for 30 years? Let it sit because now you don't have money to put away. How about if I just let the remaining amount sit? How much would I have then? Hey, we could have a lunch hour and I'll walk you through that. It's a lot of fun. Okay, let's go to page 27. This is where the math comes in, okay? Yeah, we'll do this page so that we have one example, and then you can work on the others on your own here. You purchased a home for $345,000. That's important. You have a 6% down payment. It's a percentage, it's not a dollar amount. The remaining amount will need to be mortgaged at 5.5% per year. There it is, per year, amortized over 25 years. I threw this in there. She chose a 5-year term to lock in the rate for 5 years. It doesn't matter like in terms of calculations, it doesn't matter. Concept, yes, you should know what that means, but it doesn't affect us. Okay, so first question says determine the amount of the down payment, then calculate the monthly mortgage payment. Okay, we will find out what it is down. Down payment is, what do we have saved up? 6%, correct? What's 6% as a decimal? Because you cannot use it as it is, right? So 6.06, that's 6 divided by 100 times 345,000. Let's figure out what that is. 06. 20,700. So that's how much you have saved up. That's how much you've saved up. So we know our down payment. That's going to stay. Calculate the monthly payment. I hope you have a formula for this, and this is what it should look like, where you go price minus down times table rate over 1,000. That's how we're going to find it. So make sure you copy this. Oh, I don't have a table, so I'm just going to go 5.5. That sounds about right. 5.5. No. You're going to resist that temptation. For this unit, anything in my booklet, I have these 3 charts. You should all have one. If you didn't get one yet, come and see me, or just grab one from this stack here. You're going to use that very first page. It says per $1,000 of loan on it, right? These are the rates per $1,000 of loan. Yeah, just grab one. So what do we match? The 5.5% interest rate with 25 years. So you got to go all the way over and match it with 25 years in this case. I'm just going to double check. 610. 610 per $1,000 is what we're going to pay for this loan. So you write that down. 610 per $1,000. Okay, so I want to say something. The province has sometimes just snuck this one into the question itself. And this is what it would say. The payment pays a blended rate of $6.60 per $1,000 of loan. You should know, oh, they're giving me this, right? They're giving me that rate. So it shouldn't throw you off, but be prepared. So 345 minus 2,700. This is my mortgage. And I will multiply by 610 over 1,000. Okay, so this is up to you how you want to do this part. Some students like to divide what's inside the brackets and get a decimal. That's fine, but I'm just going to go this times that divided by that, right? So I'm going to go times 6.1 divided by 1,000. And there it is. It's 1978.23. I will tell you something. This is close to what a calculator would give you online. Close, not Not exactly, but very close. Okay. So this is your payment. They wanted the down payment, we can circle that. And they wanted the monthly payment. So we took this away from what the house was worth, multiplied it. This is from a table, and boom, you get it. Okay. Calculate the total amount paid to the bank over the life of the mortgage. You should have total paid to the bank, and that's just the payment times 12 months times the number of years. And you might think, didn't you give them the down payment? No, that was subtracted, right? The down payment went to the owner of the previous house that sold you the house. It's the rest, like the 324 is what they give you, right? To buy that house. So you got to go 1978, 23 times 12 times 25 years. And here it is. So it's a big number. How much did you borrow? 324, and you paid them back 593. That's why they do so well. And I know some of your parents might work for a bank, so nothing against banks. They're good. They help us buy stuff we can't afford up front. Okay, but they're doing pretty good. So this is how much you paid the bank. I will just say this includes the principal and interest. So you got to understand that this is the 324, 300, and the interest all combined. That's how much you paid them back at the end of the day. C, determine the amount of the first month's payment that goes towards interest. This should, the first month and interest, what are we asking for there? Lowercase I, which is the mortgage times the interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12 because you want just 1 month worth of interest. So where does this number come from? Mortgage? Yeah, it's the loan. I'm going to go MTG here. MTG up here. So it's 324. I'm going to highlight later. Times the interest rate. What's my interest rate? 6.10, Mr. Dirksen. Isn't that obvious? No, that's not the interest rate. That's a table rate. It's 5.5%. That's the interest rate. Okay. So you go 5.5 divided by 100. You can do that before you plug it in or after. It's all right. This gives you 0.055. If you want the zero, sure, why not? Oh, we don't divide by 100 again, so we got to be careful. And we divide all of that by 12. You get 1486.38. I don't know about you, but watch this. What's your payment again every month? Right? The first payment, the bank is going to collect 1486. They're going to take that, put it in their vault. They don't have a pocket, they have a vault because they need to have more space for their money. And the rest is going to go towards paying off what you owe them. So we're talking 500 bucks. 500 bucks, that's all out of the payment that's actually going to bring down the amount you owe them. Think about that. What's the principal paid on the first month? We use the payment and the interest combined. So the principal is your payment minus lowercase I. That's the first month part. So we take 1978.23 minus 1486.38. Oh, you can't see that. My bad. My bad. So that's 491.85. Last but not least, calculate how much interest you would have paid by the end of the mortgage. Not interest in the first month, right? It's total interest. This is total interest. So you got to go payment times 12 times years minus mortgage. That's what they're asking for here. So my payment is 1978.23 times 12 times 25, and some students just leave it there. But you gotta subtract the mortgage from it. And the mortgage is 324,300, which is 593,469 minus 324,300. So it's a big amount because this is the total interest. You pay 269,169.00. Okay, so almost $270,000 in interest, aka finance charge. AKA rip off. I mean, profit. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna stop there. You've done very well. Appreciate that. I'm just gonna ask you to try page 28. I'm asking you to do one page by tomorrow. I'm gonna post more than just that page on Google Classroom, but that way you can't say that I assigned too much. Your study sheet should be updated with the formulas, okay?